Chaitanya Manobhistam Savitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadatikam Vangena Karna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopita Radha Radha Kamana Namaste Tattakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusate Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Anjanapatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namah.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Gopale Srimati Jagannath Goswami Namo Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Gopale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namo Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasati Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. So Hare Krishna everyone and welcome to tonight's program. Can we move this a bit closer? It's lovely to see all of you here tonight. And tonight's topic is going to be on controlling the senses for a higher taste. So you have made the decision to come to the temple tonight. And this is a sharp contrast to what is happening out there, for example, in the city, where people are in pubs and they are in restaurants and casinos and nightclubs, yeah? And they are enjoying their senses. But little do they realize that what they are enjoying is actually very temporary, because they are using their material senses to enjoy that which is material. And we know that what's material is temporary. Like this material world is temporary, that enjoyment in it is also going to be temporary. The other thing is, we know from Shastra that this material world is a place of misery. Right? So we find that no matter how much we try materially to enjoy these senses, we're not going to get that everlasting happiness. But we know from Shastra that we can achieve that everlasting happiness if we engage in devotional service. Okay. So we speak about people being materialists, like we may look at all those people enjoying, like in this previous slide, that all they're enjoying, they are materialists. But who really is a materialist? If we had to look at that picture, would you say the sadhu is the materialist, or the man sitting on the sofa there is a materialist? The man sitting on the sofa, yeah? Anybody else? Don't be scared, tell me. No other takers? So we've got the man sitting on the sofa. So this story here, what I'm going to tell you, is actually from our Shastra. The sadhu there is Sri Gadadhar Pandit, right? And what had happened was, we know that Sri Gadadhar Pandit is very renounced, right? He was totally in control of his mind and his senses. And what had happened was, Mukunda Dat had come to him and he said, oh, a great Vaishnava has come. And we know when a great Vaishnava comes, we all want to take darshan of him, isn't that so? Right, we'll do whatever it takes to go and see that Vaishnava. So Sri Gadadhar Pandit was very, very eager to see this great Vaishnava, whose name is Pundarika Vidyanidhi. So together with Mukunda Dat, they went to see Pundarika Vidyanidhi. But when Gadadhar Pandit saw him, he was totally shocked. I mean, look at him. He's sitting there on a sofa, which was, it had a sheet as white as foam. He was dressed extravagantly. He had all this jewelry on him. and he was surrounded by everything sensual. How could it be possible that this man is a great Vaishnava? Now, Mukunda could see that Gadadhar Pandit was a bit disturbed by this. You see, our face is the index of our mind, right? What we show here is what we're thinking about as well. So Mukunda could see that Sri Gadadhar Pandit was a bit disturbed. So what he did was, he recited 2 shlokas. Thank you so much. He recited 2 shlokas from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Now we know that these shlokas come from the killing of Putana and the mercy that Lord Krishna has had on Putana. So would someone like to read the first one? We've got only the translation, so translations by Srila Prabhupada, Ki Jai. So the first one from Srimad Bhagavatam 3:2-23. Can someone please read that translation?
Alas, how shall I take shelter of one more merciful than he who granted the position of mother to a she-demon Putna? Although she was an unfaithful and she prepared deadly poison to be sucked from her breast.
Very nice, thank you. Brita, would you like to read the second one as well, please?
Putna was always hankering for the blood of human children, and with that desire she came to King Krishna. But because she offered her breast to the Lord, she attained the greatest achievement.
Very nice, thank you. So we can see how Putana came with the intention to kill Krishna, to feed a baby poison. How heinous that crime is. But still, Krishna thought, she's offering me milk like a mother would, and I would accept that milk, and that's what he had done. And he gave her the greatest position as mother, so she became nurse mother for Krishna. So they say the Lord accepts the least qualification of the living entity and awards him the highest reward. Now when Sri Gadadhar Pandit had these feelings of, whoa, is this a great Vaishnava? You know, from that previous slide we had seen. Then when Pundarika Vidyanidhi actually heard Mukunda say those shlokas, Pundarika Vidyanidhi actually went into devotional ecstasy. He was trembling, he was perspiring, he had went pale, his hairs were standing on end, and he collapsed. He was in a trance. So when he was in that state, Sri Gadadhar Pandit was totally shocked. Because now he thought, what did I do? Here is a Vaishnava in devotional ecstasy. What a high standard he is showing. And yet, I had thought he was a materialist. Right? So in order to reciprocate what Sri Gadadhar Pandit did was, he accepted Pundarika Vidyanidhi as his guru. Okay? So if we get really, going deeper into the philosophy, Sri Gadadhar Pandit is actually Radharani, and Pundarika Vidyanidhi is Radharani's father. All right? So we got to be careful who we call a materialist and who we call a Vaishnava. A materialist can be in the garb of a guru, right? So we've got to be really mindful of that because we've got lots of pseudo-gurus. Or a guru can be in the garb of a materialist. So best for all of us, in order to avoid Vaishnava aparad, is to respect everybody. Okay. So we are all conditioned to some degree. Would someone like to read this from Srila Prabhupada? There's a roving mic, I think, yeah?
Conditioned people have imperfect senses, so they cannot see things as they are.
Thank you so much for that, Mataji. So we are all conditioned. As I said, to different degrees, we all have conditioning, right? That is why we're here in this material world. And being conditioned means that our senses are not perfect, right? Look at our eyes, for example. Someone can have perfect vision, 20/20 vision. But can we see the COVID virus? No. And that little virus is causing so much of havoc. I mean, the latest reports is that there's another increase in that virus at the moment, yeah? So we cannot see even those tiny microorganisms. Even if we think about our hearing, we cannot hear the high-pitched sounds that dogs may hear. Right. So sometimes we feel so proud of our eyes and our ears, our sense of taste, but still, what we have is very, very limited. And with these limited abilities, right, we are trying to understand which is spiritual. On our own, we can't do it. And that is why we turn to Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. We need their help. Right. So in this material world, people are endeavoring really hard to improve the 4 principles of life. And these 4 principles of life, which is eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, are the same as what animals do as well. The only thing is, Srila Prabhupada explains in the Srimad Bhagavatam, is that this human society has a very polished existence. We are just like 2-legged animals trying to improve these principles of life. For example, the dog would eat, his food from the floor, but humans would sit at a table and eat with fine crockery and cutlery. Or a dog may sleep on the floor. And humans, well, this picture shows it sleeping on the sofa, but humans want to sleep on a luxurious mattress with a beautiful headboard, So even with defending, we've got to defend, and to some extent, we'll have bolts and locks at home and gates and fences, and animals are defending with their claws and their teeth. So in essence, what is happening is that we share the same activities as animals. But we have this human form of life. This human form of life where we need to distinguish what is important for us. Why are we here? These are the questions we need to ask, Who am I? Who is that true self? What is the purpose of me being on earth? So that is why the bottom is there. What makes us different is that reasoning, the questioning, the thinking, and the logical intelligence. Right. We have the ability to discriminate as to what is right and what is wrong, whereas an animal is going purely on instinct. So, any volunteers to read this?
An intelligent person does not take part in sources of misery which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Krishna, O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end. So the wise man does not delight in them.
Thank you, Mataji. So this is from Bhagavad Gita 5:22. And if you look at that graph, you can see how material pleasures at the beginning is on a high. That means everyone's happy and they're enjoying. And Bhagavad Gita is explained as it's a time where people feel this is nectar, total enjoyment. But you can see how that line is very steadily going right to the end, right to the bottom. And where the person is not so happy, it's because at the end, Bhagavad Gita explains that it's like poison. So activities that started off where enjoyment was like nectar, later on it ends up being poison. Because as I mentioned earlier, in this material world, we cannot enjoy in that everlasting way. Okay, so from Srimad Bhagavatam 5:117 in the purport, it is explained that the sense organs are certainly our greatest enemies, and they are therefore compared to venomous serpents. Now, is anyone scared of a venomous serpent here? Prabhu's smiling, so I don't think he is. Okay, so they're dangerous, right? Everyone's scared of them. We don't have control of them, right? Now, our sense organs, what are the sense organs? Anybody? What are our sense organs?
See, tasting.
Okay, so really good. So the organs are the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, and our skin, right? So now how can we get these under control? We need to be expert at it. We need to learn how we can control these senses. So if we carry on there, from the Srimad Bhagavatam in the purport, it's explained, however, if a venomous serpent is bereft of its poison fangs, it is no longer fearful. That means if those fangs are removed, then we're not going to be scared of the snake, are we? Right? Similarly, if the senses are engaged in the service of the Lord, there is no need to fear their activities. Right? So all those eating, sleeping, mating, defending, if we do it, if we engage them as activities dovetail to Krishna consciousness, then there's no need to fear those activities. The devotees in the Krishna consciousness movement move within this material world, but because their senses are fully engaged in the service of the Lord, they are always aloof from the material world. They are always living in a transcendental position. So here we can see our safety net. And what is that safety net? What is it? Doing devotional service. Right? Dovetailing everything to Lord Krishna. So how do we do that? So if we look at that child with the knife, will a mother be happy with her child holding a knife? Mothers? What would you do? Take the knife away? But then the child is going to cry. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? The child is crying now, you've taken the knife away, and he wants something to play with. What are you going to give him? You give him his toys, right? So we're looking at, he still has the same activity of playing, but now he's playing with something that's safe for him, right? If we look at another example, or looking at our senses, you see that transformer on the top will have voltage that is really high, right? And if that voltage has to be directed straight into our houses, we can say goodbye to the house, it's going to be burned down, right? But if that voltage is modified and controlled by that transformer, then we're going to be happily using our appliances. Right? So similarly, we need to have a transformation of these senses. Right? Taking it from activities which are dangerous and detrimental for our spiritual life, and transforming to activities that are going to be safe for our spiritual path. So we need to make this change. That's what the big thing is. And sometimes people think that's a really difficult thing to do. Because sometimes people would say, what does it take to be a Hare Krishna devotee? And then we give the 4 regulative principles, which are?
No eating,
No gambling.
no intoxication, no gambling.
No litigation.
Everyone knows that really well, isn't it? Right. But if you go out and tell people the same things out there who are enjoying in the clubs, are they going to be happy with you? No. Usually they go, where's the enjoyment in your life? You know, you don't eat meat, you don't take drugs, you know, you don't gamble. Come on, where's the enjoyment? So we know that we are actually striving for something even greater than that. We are striving for the higher taste, right? It's so important that we do make this change, because for those that are not making the change, it just means that they're getting further entangled in this material world, right? And that material entanglement is going to keep them here. That means repeated birth and death. And we want to get away from that. We want to go back home, back to Godhead. And Srila Prabhupada says, it can happen in this lifetime. It can happen in a moment. Okay? So, we mentioned earlier how our senses are imperfect, and we cannot rely on our own senses to make spiritual decisions, and that is why we turn to Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. So now, how to control our senses? We know that sense gratification is not the source of happiness, But how can we control these senses? Now for this we're going to turn to Srimad Bhagavatam, right? It has the essence of our Vedic literature. So Srimad Bhagavatam describes 5 gurus that we're going to talk about today. Let me give you a little bit of a background, right? I'm going to see the next one, okay. So what had happened here was Yadu Maharaj, who is the son of Yayati Maharaj, had met an Avaduta Brahmin. And he looked at this Brahmin and he said, you know, you are handsome, you are intelligent, you speak so nicely, you're in total bliss. And you're just so renounced, you know you're not attracted to anything material. How is it possible? And then the Avaduta Brahmin said, I have taken instructions from 24 gurus. How many gurus?
24.
And we just need to take instruction from at least one guru. Right? He took instruction from 24 gurus. Does anyone know who these gurus are? His Holiness. Okay, today what we're going to do is discuss 5 of those gurus because they're going to be related to our talk. And these gurus are very different because they are the moth, the bee, the elephant, the deer, and the fish. So it's amazing what nature can teach us. Okay, so let's look into this. The first one is the moth. Okay, now we know that the moth is very attracted to the flame, isn't that so? But what happens when it reaches the flame? We're going to say goodbye to the moth. Hare Krishna. Right, so that's the end of the moth. So, Sri Sri Radha Govinda Bhagwan Ki Jai, Sri Sri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Ki Jai, Sri Sri Laddu Bhagavad Ki Jai, Sri Sri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai, Sri Prabhupada Ki Jai. So the first one is the moth, referring to sight. You find here what is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam is that the female form is very beautiful. Agree, ladies? You're all beautiful, right? The female form is very beautiful, but a man is so readily attracted to that female form. Right? His mind is very easily agitated. But then what happens is, with that attraction, his attraction to spiritual life starts decreasing because he wants to enjoy. All right? So if we had to look at beauty, this is Bollywood now, off to Bollywood we go, you'd find globally in terms of cosmetic spend, it is $528.6 billion. So, Prabhus, sometimes these Matajis are all beautiful, but out there, what we see is not what it really is. So we can't judge a book by its cover, right? So very often, I mean, I even put a man on this slide here because they are also cosmetic users. And you can see how he's being transformed. His hair is darker and he's got hair. So, so we're living in a world now where what we see is so artificial. Yeah? But people are attracted to it. They're attracted to it. Okay? Let's have a look at another story now. This is an instructive story. So once there was a very beautiful lady. She was very chaste. And a prince came along. And he said, I want to be with you. I want to enjoy. Now this shocked her. You know, she was married. She was really chaste. And she knew that if she refuses this prince, he's going to hurt her husband. Because, you know, people in power, they really try and enforce that power. So she told him, you know what? Come back in 10 days, and I will see you there. But in the meantime, do you know what she did? She took really strong medications, like purgatives and laxatives, that made her vomit and have diarrhea. And then this is a bit yuck, she collected the diarrhea and the vomit in little pots, or big pots really, because it went over a few days. And then after those 10 days, the prince had come, and she was sitting outside, and he said, I have come for the beautiful lady in this household. And she says, it's me, I'm that beautiful lady. And he goes, what? Look at you. You are so ugly, all shriveled, and your complexion is so grayish. You are so ugly. And she says, come, let me show you where the beauty is. And she showed him the 2 pots that she had, the pots with the jungle stone. So the moral of the story is, so often people are attracted to the physical form, forgetting really about the qualities of the person. And what tends to happen is those relationships end up being very superficial. They don't last very long. If a brahmachari is affected in that way by a lady, we can say goodbye to his brahmachari life. If a married man is affected in that way by another lady, not his wife, but another lady, he can say goodbye to his marriage. So Srila Prabhupada calls it the skin disease, right? Where we are looking at more the material concept. Now when we look at Shastra, we all know the story of Ajmer, right? He, just with sight, he had gotten into trouble. So what did he do? He saw some common people, the Shudra and Shudrani, embracing. And with that, he was attracted to that prostitute. Right? With that sort of thinking, he got the prostitute. And then he left his good wife, his parents, his children. He gave up his good Brahmin life, his Grihastha Brahmin life. And he spent time with the prostitute. And of course, they had children. So he started getting involved in lots of sinful activities just to pay or provide for the prostitute and the children. So we can see how just this one sense organ, right, sight, had gotten him into trouble. Other Shastric example we can look at is Sobari Muni. So he thought, let me leave everyone on land and let me go deep in the water, right? I'm not going to get distracted by anyone there. And what he had done was he went into deep meditation. But one day he had seen 2 fish mating. So here again, sight, what we see affects what we think about as well. And then when he had seen that, he wanted to be with a woman. So he went up back to land and he went to King Mandata. And King Mandata had 50 daughters. So he said, I would like to marry one of your daughters. And the king said, my daughter can select their own husband, so please go to them. Ladies, when you look at him, he's all shriveled, complexion all gray, hair all matted. And his 50 beautiful daughters are looking at him, and they thought, we don't want him. Okay? So he thought, I've got to do something here now. So he had yogic mystic powers. He used his yogic mystic powers and he transformed himself into this handsome young man. And then what happened? All 50 girls went for him. Right now, instead of one, he had 50 wives. So it so happened that their sisterly love started going down. Lots of fights, arguments. And Sobari Muni started regretting what he had done. He had let slip a life that could allow him to progress on the spiritual path. And he allowed himself to get entangled in material life. So having that realization, he left that material attachment and he moved back to his meditation. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is explained that our eyes are nothing like plumes on the peacock feathers. You know those little eyes there? So they have no value if they are not used correctly. If they are used purely for material purposes, then they have no value. Right? Now, we don't want to burn in the fire of beauty. Right? How can we use our eyes properly? Wanting some feedback, please. How can we use our eyes so that we are using it for the purpose of Krishna consciousness? You all know this because you're doing it. Just share your experiences, please. Anyone?
To take darshan of Krishna.
Oh, that is so beautiful. To take darshan of Lord Krishna. Yes, using your eyes for Lord Krishna. Very nice. Can anyone think of anything else?
Reading the Shastras.
Reading Shastras, very good. Yes, reading Shastras. So look at him choosing to read Shastra and not mundane literature. Yeah. Basically, in this world, everything is Krishna's energy. Even if we look at a tree, we think about Krishna. Right? So using our vision, using our sight to make us think about Krishna. Because remember, the principle in this life is always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. That's highlighted in the book Nectar of Devotion, isn't it? So that's a principle we need to follow. We're going to move on to our next guru now, the honeybee. The honeybee is attracted to the smell of the flowers, right? So the honeybee goes there. But what's really marvelous about the honeybee is that the honeybee will just take what it wants and move on to the next flower. It doesn't think, let me just stay here. Right? If it stays there for a long time and stays there till dusk, having that nectar, what's going to happen? The lotus flower closes up. And what will happen to the honeybee? It's going to die. That's right. Right. So that overindulgence is not going to be good for him. And also the honeybee just takes that essence. It's not carrying the whole flower with him. It just takes it. It reads and it moves on. So atyahar, over-endeavoring, overeating. Right? So this is what we need to avoid. Just like how the honeybee just takes as much as it needs and moves on. We need to take what we need and move on. Unfortunately, in the material world, people tend to overwork. Sometimes people are holding 2 or 3 jobs. There's no time to take darshan of the deities. There's no time to read Shastra. Because they're so busy working to make more money. More money for what? For what? To live in extravagance? To eat and eat, like that big man there? So we need to be careful about how much we take. At the end of the day, we may say that, don't we need money? We are grihastas and we need money. We have a house, we've got family to maintain, we've got cars to maintain. Yes, we can still keep all of that. We can still keep all of that. But how we keep it is important. We use the principle of yukta vairagya, right? Using whatever we have in the service of Lord Krishna. That's what's important. Have a car? You've all used your cars to come here. So straight away you're using it for the purpose of devotional service. Right? So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita as well, Yat karosi yadasnasi yat chahosi tadasya yat tasyasya kontaya yat kurustamad arpanam. Whatever you eat, whatever you do, whatever you give away, whatever austerities you perform, do it, O son of Kunti, as a offering to me, he says. So yes, we can still do all these activities, but we're doing it as an offering to Lord Krishna. That's what's important. So from 244, Bhagavad Gita, Bhogashvaya prasaptanam taya parita chetasam yavasayatmika buddhi samadhunavati yati. In the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. So when somebody is not using it, as we say, yukta vairagya, using it for the purpose of devotional service for Krishna, and they're using it totally for themselves, then they can't quite get onto this path of Krishna consciousness. They can't take off. So Srila Prabhupada says, don't be after these motor cars, television and nonsense things, sporting, wine, women. Don't be after these. Simply eat sufficiently, keep your health nicely, chant Hare Krishna, realize Krishna, and go back to home. This is our philosophy. So that was said in Rome on May 21st, 1974. So Srila Prabhupada advocates the principle of simple living and high thinking. That's what we need to do. Right? So we're not over-endeavoring, learning from the honeybee. Don't over-endeavor, don't over-accumulate stuff. You know, sometimes when people reach, elderly people, I found a lot of people in the Western community, when they're about 80, 90 years and they want to declutter, they don't have the energy or the abilities to start decluttering and downscaling. So now there's actually businesses. You can hire someone to come and do that for you. Right? So this is this world. Wherever somebody can get an opportunity to make money off somebody else, they will do so. That's how it goes. So we can start from now living simple lives and not over-accumulating. So the other thing about the honeybee was it just takes the essence, right? It's just taking what it needs. Now we all know out there's a lot of literature available, right? Lots of literature telling us how we can do yoga, how you can get on the spiritual path. Srila Prabhupada says books are the basis. Basis because it's the foundation through which we are able to practice our Krishna consciousness. Anything we need to know is in our books. Today, whilst we were doing Harinam and book distribution in town, I met someone and they wanted to take the books and then change their mind because the person they are following spiritually does not accept any Vedic literature, right? So what are they basing their instructions on? Material concoctions. So it's like the blind leading the blind. So you feel really sorry for people who are following those who don't really know what the purpose of life is and what we need to do to achieve that purpose. Even a few years ago, I met an old man, about 90 years old, very intelligent. He was involved in quantum physics. And for about 20 years, he was writing a book. And what that book was about is spiritual dimensions and what happens to the soul after death. So I asked him, what happens to the soul after death? And he said, I don't know. I said, what? You don't know, but you're writing a book about it. So that book could possibly become a bestseller. But what information are people getting? All his concoctions about what's going to happen to the soul after death. So I told him, please, take the Srimad Bhagavatam. All the answers are here. You don't need to think much. All your 20 years of work, you could just read your Srimad Bhagavatam and all your answers are going to be there. And by the mercy of Krishna, he took the Srimad Bhagavatam. So let's get down to our books. Books are very important. Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, everything is there for us. Okay, so from the honeybee we've learned, right, don't over-accumulate, and also take the essence. Take what is important to improve on our spiritual lives. Our next guru is the elephant. Okay? So the elephant is affected by the sense of touch. But the capturers take advantage of this because they make a pit and they cover it with grass. And we put a female elephant on the opposite side. And then the male elephant goes, woo-hoo, female ahead. And he runs only to fall into that pit. Now that's it for him. He's captured, right? He is left there for a few days without food. So without food, what's going to happen? He's just going to get weaker and weaker. So the capturers use that to their advantage, right? Because then when the elephant is weak enough, they start trying to control him. They make him do what they want, so they become his master. And this was all because of the sense of touch. How can we use our sense of touch? What do we have to do in our spiritual lives? The temple has really nice programs where you all come and do. Yes, sorry? Hari Bol, who said that? Hare Krishna. Thank you, Kataji. Yes, Abhishek. So, when we are dressing the deities, or Abhishek dressing the deities, making garlands, we're engaging our sense of touch. We're making clothes for the deities, even cooking for deities. We're engaging our sense of touch to serve Lord Krishna. All right, so that's touch. Now the fourth guru is the deer. The deer is a very gentle animal, and the deer is very much attracted by sweet sounds. So if a hunter wants to capture a deer, they play really sweet, selected sounds. Now, Shastric examples would be like Vishamrit Muni, right? He was in deep meditation. When he heard the ankle bells of Menaka, right? And then that was goodbye to meditation, and after to Menaka he went, and they had a beautiful baby, Shakuntala. Right? Shakuntala was known to be very, very beautiful. And the other example there is Vishyashringa. So his father kept him very, very strictly. His father kept him in a hermitage where he was not allowed to look at any females. So to Vishyashringa, a female did not exist. Okay? But what had happened was, in a neighboring village, there was a drought. And they had got divine advice that only if Vishyashringa had come and stepped on the land, then the rain will come. So how can they get him now? So they devised a plan. They sent beautiful ladies to the hermitage. And when he heard their sweet voices, he got attracted. When he saw their form, he was like, who is this? So he was attracted to the form as well. So Vishyashringa eventually ended up with the ladies. So that was the end of his brahmachari life. So with hearing, I'm just going to spend a little bit more time here because hearing is very important. Shravanam is the first process of the 9 processes of devotional service, right? Shravanam. So we've got 2 ears that are always open. We can't quite close it. So, wherever we are, the sounds are going in. We've got 1 mouth. We can't shut this mouth when we want to. Yeah? So we've got to beware because everything that goes in stays in. The mantra is there. Be careful who or what you listen to. What we hear affects our consciousness. And this sense of hearing is so potent that it is the last sense to go when we die. That's why it's so important that we do kirtan when someone is leaving their body. Right? In Srimad Bhagavatam 2.1.2, it condemns the hearing of mundane topics devoid of spiritual value. Those persons who are materially engrossed, being blind to the knowledge of ultimate truth, have many subject matters for hearing in human society, O Emperor. In commenting on this, Srila Prabhupada writes, they have many subject matters for hearing, political, scientific, social, economic, and so on. But due to a poor fund of knowledge, they set aside the question of the ultimate miseries of life, namely miseries of birth, death, old age, and disease. Right, so much of literature out there, like the old man I was telling you writing the book, but it's not addressing our main problems, birth, death, old age, and disease. All the other literature keeps us in this material world, but the literature which addresses birth, death, old age, and disease are going to take us out of this material world. And back to Golika Vrindavan. Okay, so how can we use our hearing for Kirtan, Haribol, yes? Anything else?
Listening to lectures.
Listening to lectures, very nice, yes. Yeah, So we know how important chanting is as well, isn't that so? When we're chanting, we're engaging our senses. We're engaging hearing, we're engaging our tongue, we're engaging our sense of touch as well. And also if we're looking at pictures or the deities, we're engaging at sight as well. So why do we have to hear? Srila Prabhupada writes, the first and foremost of such devotional engagements is hearing about Krishna. This is a very powerful transcendental method of purging the mind of all misgivings. Purging means to get rid of all the anathas, isn't that so? Like Cheta Darpana Marjanam, right? The cleansing process, that's what we go through. The more one hears about Krishna, the more one becomes enlightened and detached from everything that draws the mind away from Krishna. Okay, so our attachment is increasing. So that's Bhagavad Gita 635 purport. So this spiritual sound is so powerful that one doesn't even have to comprehend its meaning to benefit from hearing it. When one links his ears to give oral reception to the transcendental vibrations, Srila Prabhupada writes, he can quickly become purified and cleansed in the heart. Hearing in Bhakti Yoga is so simple that anyone can take part, even a child can take part. Prabhupada observes, even a dog can take part. Right? So when you go on Harinam, and sometimes people go, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, because they don't know the whole mantra. But they've already chanted the holy name. Just saying Hare Krishna, right? The seed is planted. They're getting spiritual benefits straight away. And that is why it is so important to get out there to the people who can't make it to the temple and spread the holy name. People don't know Krishna exists. So the ways in which we perform hearing is Nam Shravan, right? Hearing the holy name. Charit Shravan, hearing about the pastimes. Krishna book is a lovely book, we all know that. To hear about the pastimes of the Lord. Gunari Shravan, hearing about the qualities of Lord Krishna. Right? Also nicely described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, our last guru for today is the fish. Now we know the fish, when it gets that meaty bait, no matter how much of food it has around it, it still goes for that hook, isn't that so? And once it clamps onto that, then that means that fish is caught and it's lunch or dinner for somebody else. So the tongue is known as being very voracious, really hard to control. And when one has control of the tongue, it becomes even easier to control the other senses. So how can we control our tongue?
Eating prashadam.
Haribo, yes. It's the best part, yeah. Okay, so eating prasadam, yeah, and what else? What else do we do with our tongue? Which you are all doing? Chanting, Hare Krishna, yes, chanting, speaking about the glories of the Lord. So using our tongue nicely. So when we come to the society we're living in, they speak about being advanced. But are they really advanced? There's so much of hypocrisy. If you look at that picture, you can see how that man is petting the cat, and he's got a knife on the other hand, and that's to slaughter the animals on that side. So very often people speak about, we've got to protect animals, we've got to take care of animals, but are they protecting all the animals? They're not really. So that is why it is so important that we are not hypocritical. Once I was traveling, it was a work destination that we had to go to, and I was traveling with a lady, an occupational therapist. And we saw some sheep, and she goes, oh, look at them, they're so sweet. And I said, yeah, and do they look as nice on your plate? And she kept quiet. So it's very nice looking at them and saying they're so nice, but the same animals are slaughtered and eaten, right? Okay, so we've already discussed how we can use the tongue, right? So our Prasad Stevya, our Sharira Vidyaja prayer, oh brothers, this material body is a network of ignorance, and the senses are one's deadly enemies. For they throw the soul into the ocean of material sense enjoyment. Among the senses, the tongue is the most voracious and verily wicked. It is very difficult to conquer the tongue in this world. Oh brothers, Lord Krishna is very merciful. Just to control the tongue, he has given us the remnants of his own food. Now please, eat these nectarian grains while singing the glories of their lordships, Sri Sri Radha and Krishna, and in love call out, Chaitanya Nitai. So we can see how important prasadam is, you know. Even if our meal may be simple, maybe it's only dal and rice, and somebody else may have a very opulent meal, but it's not offered to Krishna. Our meal is way more precious than what they're having. Okay? So we spoke about the other purpose of our tongue, and that was chanting Hare Krishna, chanting the Maha Mantra. This is our cleanser, such an easy process, you know. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Our first concern, therefore, should be to control the senses, and since the senses cannot be controlled unless engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, our most important duty is to engage the senses in devotional service. So that's what we were talking about now, how we can use our senses to serve Krishna. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevana, Bhakti Uchyate. Bhakti means engagement of the purified senses in the service of the Lord. So what we are trying to do is Param Drispan Bhaktate is to get the higher taste, because this higher taste that we achieve is going to make us forget the material life. Okay? One in which has entangled us for many, many lifetimes. We know there's 8.4 million species of lives. We now are so fortunate that we have this human form of life. It's very rare, it's very precious. Right? We have the intelligence to discriminate what is right and what is wrong. We need to make the decision how we can use this so that we can use it for the purpose of achieving the goal of our life, which is Krishna prema. So we can only have one master in our life, right? We need to work out. Are we going to serve our senses, or are we going to serve Krishna? Serving only the senses means serving Maya. So there's this tug of war. Is Maya going to win? Or is Krishna going to win? Right? So to master your senses, make Krishna your master. That's the message today. So thank you everyone for so kindly listening and for your kind attention. If there are any questions or comments, we'll open it up to you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Nothing? So it's either that you all understood what happened or you just didn't understand what I said. Okay, thank you. Thank you everyone.
Hare Krishna. So first of all, we'd like to thank Her Grace Saradiya Mataji for such a beautiful, in-depth analysis of Krishna, science of Krishna consciousness. So please, with the Maha Mantra, we will honor Mataji. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And I also like to thank my good friend, His Grace Srinivas Maharaj, who has kindly brought his good wife to give us this beautiful discourse. So please, for Maharaj as well, we will do Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. You all heard previously, I think we met back in, what year was it? We met in 2001, and they spent a lot of time, we spent together talking about Krishna consciousness. And it's amazing when you go back and if you for me from 2001 and now it is 2024, and how far Saradiya Mataji and Prabhu have come through in Krishna consciousness. She has completed Bhakti Sastri course, which some of our members are also doing, and that is why she is so knowledgeable now, and she is very, very good, very nice. Every one of us should, especially the ones that are coming up in Krishna consciousness, if you get a chance, you should do this Bhakti Sastri course. It's an online course that you can do, and if you want some details, you can talk to Saradiya Mataji. I'm sure she can guide you, and it will give you a lot of knowledge, but there's no point in getting knowledge and sitting with it. You need to get knowledge and put it in your life and make use of it. Then it is, useful knowledge. Otherwise, it is knowledge, but knowledge for the sake of knowledge. All right, so thank you very much, and also we'd like to thank Sunena Mataji and family for kindly sponsoring tonight's program. So please put your hands together to show appreciation. As we mentioned last few weeks, for next Saturday, we will be very privileged to have His Grace Balram Kripa Prabhu from ISKCON Vrindavan coming over for 1 week, Saturday, next Saturday to following Saturday, and he will be speaking here every night from 6:30 to 8:30. Next Saturday's program and the following Saturday's program will be starting from 6:30 and finishing about 8:30. If there is any change in the timing or anything, you will have the email from temple, so you'll know what timings are. But at this stage, it is 6:30 to 8:30. And every night there will be prasadam for everybody. Of course, as usual, the gates will close 15 minutes before Aarti. So please do arrive on time and take advantage, because it is very rare that we get a chance from someone from Vrindavan who comes over here to preach. So when we do get an opportunity like that, all of us should really get going and not miss out on the great opportunity. So please do come along. And if you'd like to sponsor any of that week program, the whole week or even just one night, please talk to Vishnu Priya Mataji or to Krishna Nand or to Mahen Bhai, and I'm sure they will be very, very happy to discuss details with you. So, and that includes any other program for the temple. If you are interested to do or sponsor, please talk to them about that. Thank you very much for joining this program. We will now have Sandhya Aarti, Gaur Aarti. The sponsoring family will do the Aarti. Everyone else will just take Aarti to take blessings, and that way we will save some time, and then we'll go downstairs to Ona Prasadam. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So if you'd like to stand up, we will do some Aarti Satyananda Prabhu.
Suraswagatam Krishna, Sharanagatam Krishna, Suraswagatam Krishna, Sharanagatam Krishna, Suraswagatam Krishna, Sharanagatam Krishna. Shri Shri Gaunitai ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Govind Dev Ji ki Jai, Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Ji Maharaj ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada Ji Maharaj ki Jai, Gaur Premanande. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste कोटि चंद्र जिनी वदन उज्ज्वला।
Hare Hare Rama,
सब लोग माथा टेक के प्रणाम कीजिए। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस प्रदिचार्य स्तोत्र सस्य श्रीमद His Divine Grace ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस प्रदिचार्य स्तोत्र सस्य श्रीमद His Divine Grace भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर महाराज की जय। आनंद कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गो गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की जय। ब्रजभूमि वृंदावन धाम की जय। मथुरापुरी धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। जमुना माई की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। सामवेद भक्त वृंद की जय। हरे कृष्णा महामंत्र की जय। हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्री श्री गौर निताय की जय। श्री श्री राधा गोविंद देव की जय। श्री श्री सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान जी महाराज की जय। श्री प्रभुपाद जी महाराज की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories always to Sri Guru and Gauranga Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. सब लोग 2-4 मिनट के लिए बैठ जाइए। हम लोग नरसिंह प्रेयर करेंगे। हरे कृष्णा।
नमस्ते नरसिंह।
नमस्ते सभी लोग गाइए।
नमस्ते नरसिंह।
नमस्ते नरसिंह। स्क्रीन पर देखिए, आप मोहम्मद फॉलो कर सकते हैं स्क्रीन पर। बोलो नरसिंह भगवान की जय, प्रहलाद महाराज की जय, गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आज के इस प्रोग्राम में शामिल होने के लिए। अगले प्रोग्राम फिर से शनिवार को है। जैसे आपको बताया गया, आगे श्रद्धेय श्री बलराम कृपा प्रभु जी वृंदावन धाम से पधारेंगे, इस्कॉन वृंदावन से यहाँ पर प्रचार करने के लिए। 1 सप्ताह का प्रचार होगा, सैटरडे से लेकर अगला सैटरडे तक, और हर रात्रि को 6:30 बजे से 8:30 बजे का प्रोग्राम है। सभी को प्रसाद भी बंदोबस्त रहेगा एवरी नाइट। और आप अगर जो स्पॉन्सर करना चाहे प्रोग्राम, एक भी नाइट का स्पॉन्सर हो तो हम लोग मल्टीपल स्पॉन्सर्स लेंगे। आप महेंद्र भाई, विष्णुप्रिया और कृष्णानंद के साथ संपर्क कीजिए, किसी में से उनसे बात कीजिए और उनको डिटेल दिया जाएगा। और भी कोई प्रोग्राम मंदिर का जो है, आप अगर जो स्पॉन्सर करना चाहते होंगे तो आप जरूर से संपर्क कीजिए लोगों से, आपको सब डिटेल दिया जाएगा। हमारे मंदिर का जो ईमेल ग्रुप है, अगर जो आप उसमें नहीं है तो आप अपना ईमेल आईडी हमें देकर जाइएगा आज रात को, तो हम लोग ईमेल ग्रुप में आपको डाल देंगे, तो आपको सब सूचना मिलता रहेगा कि मंदिर में कौन कौन सा प्रोग्राम हो रहा है। काफ़ी प्रोग्राम अभी है, आने वाला भी अगले महीना में ऑल थ्रू आउट द ईयर बहुत बड़ा बड़ा प्रोग्राम है, आपको सब सूचना मिलता रहेगा। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आज के इस प्रोग्राम में शामिल होने के लिए। आप एक बार हाथ उठाकर आखिरी में बोलिए हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।